South African Qualifications Authority is celebrating 20 years of existence. 2 decades ago, the South African Qualifications Authority built a world-class National Qualifications Framework. In the latest financial year, 72,543 qualifications were verified by SAQA. Joining us from our studios in Pretoria is the CEO from the South African Qualifications Authority, Joe Samuels. Joe, very good morning to you and welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning to you.
Well, I know that the South African Qualifications Authority was very hard at work with policy development mandate, but now you're focusing on policy implementations. Take us through the process.
Yeah, what happened, Pelissa, is that the NQF Act was promulgated in 2008 and it started to be implemented in 2009. So what we had to do is, there's a whole range of policies that we needed to develop, which we have now completed. For example, we have developed policies around the recognition of prior learning, that would allow people who have gained experience and skills in a particular area, but who has never been recognized, that now they will be able to recognize. So we have done the policy. And the key thing now is to make sure that it gets implemented throughout the length and the breadth of South Africa. So that is one policy. There's about 10 other policies that we have done now. So what we will be doing is to make sure that the systems is implemented in a coherent way, throughout the country.
All right. But we hear a lot of the National Qualifications Framework, which is the NQF. What is an NQF?
An NQF, in one sense, it is a kind of ladder of qualifications. It starts at NQF level 1, which if we equate it to the schooling system, it is like at grade 9. And then it would go up to NQF level 10, which would equate to a PhD degree that one will obtain at the university.
All right. In terms of using your services, Joe, talk to us about the institutions. Are they really making use of your services? I mean, we've just had a conversation now with the South African Council of Educators talking about teachers who go about teaching with fake qualifications. Are they really making use of the services provided by SAQA?
Let me say that, if one looks at it, SAQA has got the largest database of learner achievements in the country. We've got on our national learners record database about 17 million of these learner achievements. And we've been saying consistently to the various employers that what they ought to do is to just make sure and to verify, the qualifications of people who, at their workplaces. So, for example, in the earlier interview that you had, it was clear that one of the teachers have been teaching for a long time. Now, it is only recently that, we've become aware of, the extent, of these qualifications that are being faked. And therefore, the call from SAQA has been that employers need to verify the qualifications of their employees. And so we would like to say that again, as it were. We have seen that over the last number of years, particularly education departments and so on, have been using our services. And as the CEO has said or says, that we are working together now to try to combat, these kinds of issues.
Yeah, and I was also going through your statement. You mentioned that there is now an anti-fraud strategy with SAQA. Talk to us about the strategy.
Yeah, look, the strategy flows out of the following. The Minister of Higher Education and Training, Minister Nzimande, has asked SAQA to set up a register of fraudulent qualifications. What we have done is we have set up 2 registers. One, a register of misrepresented qualifications, so that when people misrepresent the information on their certificates, or if they go to an institution that is not accredited, what we would do is we would create this list. However, we also, if we found that there's been any misrepresentations, we would then, go to the police, lay a charge and so on. That then goes through the judicial process Through a court of law, the court of law will then say whether the qualification is fraudulent or not. So it is not a decision that SAQA can make, but a court will determine whether it is fraudulent. Then the names of those people then will go on to the list or the register of fraudulent qualifications.
All right. And the South African Qualifications Authority is celebrating 20 years of existence. If you were to look 20 years back and talk to us about the success stories that the body has.
Yeah, no, look, I think, when we started out, there wasn't the National Qualifications Framework in place. And what we have done is we have set up the system. As I said earlier, we've got a records learners database that has got over 17 million learners. Also, we have registered all the qualifications in the country. So when people look at our website and our database, they can see what the qualifications are, which qualifications are legitimate qualifications, and they can trust that list. Then we are also recognizing professional bodies, and we have about 85 of these professional bodies that we've recognized. Again, from a public perspective, when you see this, when you see that list, you know that these providers are legitimate, as well as these professional bodies are legitimate. We also evaluate foreign qualifications. So in other words, when a qualification has gone through the evaluation process with SAQA, on the one hand, employers will know, or institutions for further learning will know, that the qualifications have been verified on the one hand, and on the other hand, we then compare it to our National Qualifications Framework here, and they will then know more or less where does it fit in, onto the National Qualifications Framework. So from that point of view, SAQA as a model statutory body gives the public confidence in our education and training system.
All right, there's certainly so much that the body has achieved in this 20 years, Joe, but that's where we're going to leave it for this morning. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. There you have it. That's the CEO of the South African Qualifications Authority, Joe Samuels, talking to us about the body having been in existence for 20 years. Let us get you another weather update. Phil is standing by.